I usually ask lawyers that come on the show what they think like the future of law will be, what they're excited about. But I think as someone who talks to so many lawyers, you actually do have a fundamental understanding of where things are heading based on like patterns that you'll see of new things that come out. So what do you think is next on the horizon for the future of law? Like what excites you? What concerns you the most? What's the next, I don't know, big thing?
I think this is an obvious one. I think it's one that we're dealing with right now. It is now March of 2023. All right, it's almost the end of it, right? ChatGPT launched in November. Okay, and the acceleration in AI in the last 5 months has been intense. Casetext just announced a basically a legal assistant that does legal research for you and writes legal memos for you. Like it can write briefs for you. Okay. It is intense, right? And so that is just, those are just things that have developed over the last 5 months. And so I think if we didn't mention that, I think we would be negligent in doing so. That is where we are right now. And I do think that there should be a little bit of a concern that if you don't utilize it, you could be left behind. I'm not one of those alarmists that says it's going to destroy the law, because attorneys are going to be necessary, right? There was already a lawsuit about a bot practicing law. Someone's already filed a lawsuit about that. So a lawyer is going to be necessary, but if you're not utilizing artificial intelligence in some capacity, you're going to be left behind. And it's what it's going to allow you to do is get a lot more work done in a shorter amount of time. And it's going to save your clients money. It's probably going to lower your costs because you're going to need less people to do it. So I do think there's a general workforce problem, and not just legal, but I think it could reduce a lot of jobs. But I think there's also other jobs that will develop because of that. But I think the AI is a massive one that we've got to keep an eye on.
Travel agents used to have all of the secret ways of getting people cheap plane tickets. Real estate agents used to have the MLS, and they had exclusive access to all the information about the buying and selling of houses. Over time, we've seen websites sort of knock most travel agents out of business. They're still successful travel agents, ones who do what they do and do it very well, but they've really had to perfect their craft. With real estate, people have more information at their fingertips than any agent did 5 or 10 years ago, right? You can find out anything you want about a particular house or particular piece of property. That too has gotten faster and faster as more information has become available. Lawyers have been doing everything they can to keep the general public from figuring out what it is that we do and how we do it, and setting up this monopoly called the practice of law. And it's starting to get chipped away at in states like Utah and Arizona. That stuff's coming. And if you don't pay attention to ChatGPT for all the reasons Tyson just mentioned, you should pay attention to it for one reason, and that is the speed of adoption. It's the speed of adoption of ChatGPT is exponentially faster than Facebook ever was. So when it comes, it's going to come fast. And if you're not able to stand out and to have the access to the clients, it's going to be everything. Access to the clients and a way to get the clients is going to be everything, because almost everything else is going to become a commodity.
So I'm not an alarmist either. I remember when so I was big into SEO for a while. I'm a marketing guy. And I remember voice search. Everybody's telling me voice search is going to replace regular search. And I said, no, it's not. And for the most part, I was kind of right. And then they said, all these things are going to come out. The Google ads is going to kill search. This is going to kill search. And when ChatGPT came out, everybody's telling me, ChatGPT, it's going to write content. It's going to do this. And I'm like, no, it's not. And it is. And a lot of like Bing, Microsoft just launched their own ChatGPT. I know Google is giving people access to Bard, which is the beta for theirs. And I have a buddy who runs it's like an anti-bullying charity organization. And for whatever reason, he posted an essay that Bard had wrote about his, it was sort of like a press release about what he's doing. And I read it. And at the end, I couldn't tell whether or not a person had written. Now, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't like a compelling article that it was just very, but it was cohesive. It made sense. It built on previous points, and it looked as if a human could write this. So I imagine that the implications of writing legal briefs is not that far away. I do also imagine that it could provide more jobs, like the people who are specializing in creating briefs or outsourcing these briefs for briefs, memos, filings, whatever that you need written up. Do you guys know of anybody who's utilizing this sort of thing yet? Or is it still like, I don't know, is it still a little too early?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I know that we're using it in our firm to develop content. I'm not going to tell you exactly why or how, because it's pretty. I think what we're doing is pretty amazing. What I'm doing over here is I'm pulling up case text, right? And this is something that they're kind of limiting who gets access to it right now, but they've got this co-counsel, and I just pulled up this chat that I did earlier, and we got an email from an adjuster, and there's something called a set off and yada. I'm not going to get all the details, but I asked it to go find me the case law on this. And then it actually asked me clarifying information.
Wow.
I gave it back. It went and gave me all the information, all the cases, and it took me about 5 minutes total. As opposed to digging through a bunch of different cases and reading through those cases. And that was just one thing that I did today, and I just started it today, right? Because our buddy Ryan McKean, he mentioned it. Someone else had mentioned it in the guild, and then Ryan McKean had tweeted about it on Twitter. And then I was like, I'm going to test this thing out, and it is quite impressive. And one of the major problems with ChatGPT is that it doesn't provide the citations. I've got all the citations right now. If I wanted it to write me a memo, it would write me a memo. And so so that's one example that I can give you, but you can create right now. I can take all of the content from this podcast, and I could take all the videos from me and Jim, and I could create using AI. I could upload our videos. I could upload our audio, and we could start producing, if we wanted to, podcast after podcast after podcast about a variety of different topics, and it wouldn't even be me or Jim. Like that's what you can do right now. Like that is what you can do right this very minute. So it's quite crazy the things you can do.
Kind of alarming.